In Part 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, we finally learned about Reva's past. Today I'm going to quickly go over what we saw in the episode, why it's important for the story, and what it could mean for the future of the series, Darth Vader, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Honestly, what we saw wasn't all that surprising. I've been assuming since Part 1 that Reva was one of the younglings in that first Order 66 scene. Heck, she's literally the first character we see in the show, and I don't want to make it sound like that's some bold prediction. That was the predominant guess online. Otherwise, why briefly introduce us to those characters in the first place? It just makes sense. After their teacher fell to the clone troopers, the younglings ran off only to find themselves face to face with Anakin Skywalker. Thinking he was there to help, they were struck down. Reva herself was stabbed in the stomach but survived. That helps explain a moment in Part 3 where she clutches her own stomach while talking about the Grand Inquisitor, who she had recently impaled herself. I thought that moment felt significant, and now we know why. She was remembering her own wound. Anyway, she played dead among the other younglings, and just like the Grand Inquisitor later declares, revenge does wonders for the will to live, at least in Star Wars. Darth Maul can attest to that fact, having survived being cut in half, and then surviving just because he hated Obi-Wan Kenobi so much. A stab wound to the stomach? That's basically nothing in Star Wars. We don't know the full story of how she became an Inquisitor, but I'm guessing she volunteered herself on her quest for revenge. That sounds most likely based on everything else we know about her. I spoke about this in a couple of my review videos, but I was admittedly iffy about Moses Ingram's portrayal of the third sister in the first two episodes. I didn't quite buy her as an Inquisitor, but as the pieces fell into place in Part 3, and especially now that we know her full story, that makes complete sense. She's not an Inquisitor because she believes in the Empire or the cause or wants to hunt Jedi or anything like that. She's using the Inquisitorius as a cover to get closer to Vader. So when she's acting over the top, yelling, threatening families, and cutting off hands, that literally is the third sister acting over the top, making herself big and scary to fit in. In the flashbacks, we see her as a frightened kid cut down by a monster. Then to get close to that monster, she starts working for him. She is obviously afraid of Darth Vader. All of the Inquisitors are. We can see it on Mapuzo when he shows up and they all stare at the ground. Like we see with Leia's cousin in Part 1, people who see fear as a form of power will then work to try to make others fearful of them. Reva needs to rise through the ranks to become Grand Inquisitor to get closer to Vader, so she needs to be the biggest, baddest, scariest Inquisitor there is, the one everyone is afraid of. Yet she does all this without actually believing in any of it. The more I dive into who Reva is and everything going on with her, the more I like her. I mentioned this in my review as well, but Reva's desperate need for revenge pushes her into becoming a monster herself. We don't know everything she's done in the past 10 years, but we do know she's willing to torture Leia and storm a building full of children to get what she wants. Obi-Wan points out that she is about to be complicit in repeating Order 66 and the exact same trauma that she was forced to go through. But they do reach some understanding, and Obi-Wan's escape distracts Vader long enough for her to finally make her move, which of course goes terribly. She uses every trick in the Inquisitor handbook, and she can't even remotely keep up with him. I mean, she could have tried flying with her lightsaber, maybe that would have worked. But you've seen the episode, she gets stabbed and left for dead and sassed by the Grand Inquisitor. Clearly she's not out of this story. At the moment I'm curious about why none of the characters finished the job, but I think I at least have a thematic answer. We can draw several parallels between Anakin and Reva, a child who had their family violently taken from them. They fall to the dark side to the point where they are willing to sacrifice younglings to achieve their goals. They are badly injured and left for dead by their mentors, but they both survive. Since we knew Obi-Wan would be confronting Vader once again, fans have pointed to a line from Return of the Jedi. When Luke says he thinks there is still good in his father, Vader says, "Obi-Wan once thought as you do." We have yet to see that attitude from Kenobi at all. It's not in Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan thinks he killed Anakin at that point. I haven't seen him considering there might still be good in Vader in the series. But now we have Reva, who has gone through similar experiences as Anakin. If Obi-Wan can bring her back to the light, maybe that will bring in some glimmer of hope that he could do the same for Vader. If that's the case, I don't know how they're going to wrap that story up in only one more episode, unless it's really long, and my fingers are crossed for that. There have also been rumors of a second season of Kenobi or a spinoff or something. I haven't read into them, I've only seen whispers about it online. I'm not fully sure how I feel about that right now. I'll wait until part 6 to decide, but whether we see it in part 6 or further down the line, I wonder if we could be building to a more spiritual confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader. I would like to see Kenobi try to reach his old apprentice. We know he's going to fail, but even so, I think that would help Obi-Wan forgive himself and put the past behind him, knowing that Anakin has committed to his choices even when offered a way out. Despite the inevitable failure with Vader, a victory with Reva might be enough for Kenobi to find some peace and balance. But we'll find out in less than a week. Let me know what you think of Reva's past and what it might mean for Obi-Wan and Anakin in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for all our Obi-Wan Kenobi coverage, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page for even more, like our video reactions and audio commentaries for every episode as they come out. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.